We're always told, ODM is betraying us, ODM is betraying us. And Musalia was very loud always, ANC, ODM is betraying us. Now we found the real betrayer. And this is a person who knows he's going to marry another wife, but invites everybody else there for them to discover. You ought to have the courtesy to tell your partners that, look, this is the direction in which I'm moving, so that the kind of thing we saw, at Bomas doesn't happen. So I'm glad that OK is soldiering on. They're bringing in new partners, and they're moving, and they're charting their path, and hopefully, our paths meet as we move into the future. Yeah,
I'll get to Bomas in a moment. Mahesh, I saw you smiling there when you heard the word betrayal. What are your thoughts?
First and foremost, I'm glad that the jolting by Musalia Mudavadi has made them move. They kept on going to a meeting after a meeting, when they go to a meeting to plan and the next meeting. But now, at least there is some action. Although I hear like they didn't finish, they just gave intention. Intention, Jeff, is different from the actual memorandum, the actual agreement. And I'm surprised Gladys is talking about betrayal, because all of them, Ford Kenya and ANC, are talking about trust deficit by their former partners. And their former partners were NASA partners. And the leader in that whole group was her party leader. So I think we need to be very, very candid. I think betrayal is in that whole group, has been there. But of course, their new partners also have betrayed others. They are not in any better position, because, Jubilee has done nothing else other than betraying all those who supported the president. And the president has kept quiet. He's been the one cracking the whip. Everything that he has taken, the steps show that there is also betrayal within Jubilee.
Looks like Judas is everywhere in this script.
No. What betrayal is there in Jubilee? I mean, my question is, what is the betrayal? Where is the president's fault? The president simply said, this country needs to move. We need to move from a place where we are fighting each other always to a place where we can reconcile. So he took a step, a bold step, that saved this country and made a handshake. Now, Alice's team thought, this isn't right. We are the only ones who are supposed to be here. We are the only ones the president is supposed to talk to. Then they started walking away on their own. They went and formed another outfit and joined it. And now you see all of them shamelessly moving in yellow colors written UDA, yet they belong to the Jubilee Party. None of them has had the courage to officially resign from the Jubilee Party, including the Deputy President, officially resign from the Jubilee Party, run on UDA and come back to Parliament. None has had the courage. So when you're talking about betrayal, I think it's the Deputy President who has heavily betrayed the President. He has undermined the President. He's now out on the podium abusing the very President, criticizing the very government in which he sits. And this one even, I don't know how Musalia is living with himself, because he is the one who said, you drive a government car, you sleep in a government house, you eat government food, your cooks are paid by, your drivers are paid by the government. That very government, when you step on a podium, you say how bad, how rotten it is. The president who made you his running mate, you stand on a podium, you face him, you insult him as you wish, your foot soldiers insult him as you look and clap and smile. Really? That is the betrayal that I see. Because Jubilee was there, has always been there. But these guys, simply because they did not want the handshake, moved out. And Alice also speaks vaguely. She didn't want to speak openly, because what she's saying does not exist. About betrayal within the NASA coalition, there was no betrayal. We had a coalition agreement that if we got into power, this would be how things would happen. We didn't get to power. Now, there was nothing to share except seats in the House. If you look at seats in the House, for example, the minority leader in the National Assembly, the minority leader and the minority whip are ODM. Their deputy is Wiper, the other deputy is Ford Kenya. The commission has a Wiper. The commission in the Senate has an ANC, and so on and so forth. So really, the agreements as we had them were met. There was the political parties funding. We paid the political parties money to all the partners. Where is the betrayal?
Jeff, remember, let's start from there. The money was just paid the other day. When they felt now they needed them even more, or again to use them, use and dump. She cannot start saying that, this money was supposed to have been paid in 2018, 2019, 2020. This money was just paid last year. Just when they now started talking about, we need to bring back the coalition, we need to strengthen ourselves. And the partners, Wetangula and Musalia put their foot down. And they said, look, can you first, before we even start talking about another coalition, can we start first by delivering? You cannot keep the whole cake. We went with you. And now here you are saying, you didn't have a president. The presidential candidate was theirs, all of them. But these people said, you cannot get money, you are not a partner, you are not a political party. So, and there was a coalition agreement. Let's also come to the fact that they are now, if you look at the words they are giving out and sending out, accusing Musalia Mudavadi of betrayal, saying how useless, how they were a baggage. The other day I was in this studio with their SG. In fact, he's maybe one good reason why maybe Musalia and the rest left, because, he has no kind word about a partner you think added value to your coalition, because definitely they can't say that there was no value. Nevertheless, at least he's safe where he is. You don't need a coalition agreement to keep a word. Jeff, your word should be your bond. Credibility and integrity.
Okay.
Let me just finish, because she talked quite at length. She says that UDA are the members of parliament who are working with William Ruto. We did not start working with William Ruto from nowhere. We started working with Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto because we are members of Jubilee. Even today, I'm a member of Jubilee. But of course, I have now another political home because we were thrown out. The words and the messages that our party secretary general has been doing. They have written letters. We are not in government. We have given them space. We are okay. Then they must also carry the baggage. The baby, the baggage, everything is theirs. When you look at the handshake, you could have thought it was innocent. The president always said, it's not about 2022. You know what, Jeff? Look at all the steps and the chronology of the event, the way the events have happened. Now they are talking about Jubilee and ODM as the key partners for Azimio. What other betrayal are you looking for? You went to hunt for votes to form a government, and your deputy president is no longer, a key player in that government. You cannot lie to everybody. You may lie to others. You may tell others, no, it was an innocent handshake, but your actions speak louder than what you are saying.
Okay.
And therefore, we are not apologetic. We're not crying anymore. We believe that we will form the next government, and we are happy to go ahead with William Ruto.
And you come back and you insist that Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula leaving was a big betrayal on your part.
Not on our part. I just said, they were in Oka together, but they left without notice. And that's why I consider they mistreated and disrespected the people with whom they were in Oka.
Maybe they felt mistreated. Maybe they felt disrespected.
But they should have discussed as Oka and said, look, Jeff, you're my friend. We've been here. If it's honest politics, you say we have been here, we've been talking, but I have been, making other arrangements with so-and-so and what have you, and therefore, this is the step I'm going to be taking. And then they would agree. And then these other leaders would decide whether that is a step they want to be part of. But the kind of embarrassment Musalia faced in Bomas that day, of his partners walking out on him, and then his MPs walking out on him, and now he's left with a shell there. And listen to Alice. She just said, we are moving forward with William Ruto. This is because UDA does not believe in coalition building. They do not believe in togetherness. They believe in a one-man show where William Ruto is the leader. Alice and the rest of them are a cast, supporting him. And if you see how much they fought the coalition laws that we were trying to bring in Parliament, actually they never imagined that they were going to ever enter into coalition.
Okay.
The other worry...
Hold on.
Yeah.
I'll get to you in a moment. Let me ask you real quick before I forget this. What is the relationship with bringing in Musalia Mudavadi and ANC? What does he bring to your table? to the
Musalia
UDA?
Mudavadi, first and foremost, he's a Kenyan like any other. He is, he's a major partner, political player in this country. And you cannot, unless you are out of your mind, you cannot write off Musalia and Wetangula. We've just come from Bungoma. The havoc we have caused to ODM there is huge. They are bleeding, and they will continue bleeding. I think there is a whole huge community and voters that believe in those two, and they know it. When you look at, even in my own county, Musalia has followers. Wetangula has followers. They will lose Bungoma, they will lose Trans Nzoia.
Kandara.
Let me hold on. Oh, yes. His Secretary General, if you didn't know, maybe I could just jog your memory, comes from Muranga, Simon Gikuru. He does have agent even in our places. So, but let's just say, Musalia Mudavadi.
Is he the running mate of William Ruto?
You are taking me too fast. Those are discussions. Those are discussions that are in the offing. But unfortunately, and I will disappoint you, Jeff, Musalia is talking about pesa mfukoni. We are talking about bottom-up economic model. We have a convergence of ensuring that this country starts thinking more about our economy than thinking about what are the positions available that we'll share. I don't think he has that kind of insecurity. And at the right time, these are discussions that will be, because they are constitutional offices and we are going to fill them. There is no problem. And that is not a priority for UDA. You have heard us talk about that. Even now they are thinking, oh, Musalia has come, he's taking the place of the Mlima Kenya. What? Mlima Kenya does not need a presidency right now. It want to work with everybody else to improve the economy of this country. That's our priority. We will talk about economy until they stop talking about sharing of positions. So Musalia, yes, is a major partner. Even Wetangula, and there will be others coming on board. We never said we will not do coalitions. Our party, UDA, is less than 1 year old.
I'm glad you mentioned Wetangula because we're kind of almost forgotten about him.
Yes.
Yeah. But Jeff, listen to just the confusion in what Alice has said. Is Musalia going to be the running mate? No, we are not discussing power. Okay, so what's the business of UDA and all these alliances if we are not discussing power? The major intention of any political vehicle is to capture power.
I said positions.
No, but you see,
I said positions.
No, we don't want to.
Correct.
We want to talk about the economy. We don't want to talk about power. This is the hypocrisy that we must call out. People are in the business of capturing power for purposes of governing. And therefore, you asked a valid question that Alice should be able to answer. What is the arrangement? Is Musalia going to be the running mate? Because Mount Kenya needs to know. Because they've been told, this is a partnership between us. We are your principal. They don't know. And then there was so much jostling in Mount Kenya. Mount Kenya is uncomfortable because if the position that they have wanted is going to be taken, they have to be uncomfortable. When they were uncomfortable, now I want Alice to just calm down. We are just beginning. She can't be. We are just beginning.
Warming up.
It's the beginning.
Yes. Be factual.
I'm just saying, stating facts as they are in the public domain. You realize that Mudama had to come out and state that there is no agreement.
Yeah, he says they're just friends.
There is no agreement. They're just in a friendship. Again, that caused a lot of discomfort on the other side. Mudama again came out and said, I was misquoted. That was not my intention. So this is the confusion that has befallen UDA and their crew. And why is this? This is because, and you remember Alice said we are talking about the economy. And I want to state this fact. Azimio, as it were, the foundation of Azimio is the belief that you cannot achieve economic prosperity as a nation without national cohesion. If you do not have everybody on the table, and if you do not have people feeling like they are included, you cannot have that economic prosperity. You cannot achieve economic prosperity as well by just segmenting certain social classes and parts and raising them up against others. That's also another strong belief that we have. And therefore, that is why Azimio from the beginning opened up and said, we want partnerships. We don't want followers. These guys, on the other hand, said, we want one monolithic, with a single leader and a single party bringing together the whole country. The idea there was that we want a single leader. We don't want this idea that Alice can come up and also say, I'm also a principal in this party. Alice has to be subservient to another leader. And that is why they opposed coalitions. And that is why they are in total confusion.
You know why I think they are very misguided. They are looking for small gaps or big gaps. They are hoping, because the earthquake is still hitting them, and it will continue hitting them. Today, we hit them with this bill, the elections bill, that they were trying to bring a motion to reduce the public participation period of 14 days. Last week, we rejected, because of this team now, we rejected the House Business Committee because, the manner in which the leader of majority with them have been conducting House business is completely skewed to, to issues that are personalized, the political interest that they are trying to, to coach up very quickly. Like, you want to bring an elections amendment bill today when you want to have elections in August. You can see those kind of amendments, Jeff. The period that we have, there is no time to start bringing a new law now. There is no emergency. Okay. So I want to tell her, they will wait for the collapse of this union. It will not happen. Because, by the way, these people are very inconsiderate. They mistreated Musalia. They mistreated Ford Kenya. You remember Wetangula was thrown out of his position in the Senate. And he talked about divorce being painful and messy. That's what they are now suffering and going through.
But you still won't tell us what position, who's going to hold what position?
Jeff, I told you it's not a priority. We have not shared any positions, and we will not at this time until we are able to put in the documents with the information that we collected countrywide on the economic blocks. You remember?
I remember. Could Musalia Mudavadi be the presidential candidate backed by William Ruto?
Let me tell you, Jeff, by the end of this time, our period here, you will not get that from me. Ask me about what we are doing, how we are doing our memorandums, how that will happen later. But we are busy putting our manifesto together.
Okay, how is Kenya Kwanza going to change the matrix? How will it change?
The matrix of what?
The 2022. The outlook. How will it change in Kenya Kwanza?
Kenya, Jeff, let me tell you, when you are talking about 85% of Kenyans, either they are jobless, they don't have, work, they cannot put food on their table, their children are not going to school because they don't have school fees. We are having an economy that is now, kneeling down because of debt. We are going to be able to put in a very good document that will fix that. Our target is to ensure the 85% of Kenyans, 85%, because the money around here is circulating around a kind of, you and I, 15%. When 85% are struggling, we have to direct the investment, the energies into the 85%, starting from the bottom. And, we intend to create more wealth, increase or widen the income base. Of course, with that income base widened, then you have a bigger income bracket. And we'll have enough revenue. Jeff.
It seems like that's what Kenya Kwanza says. Azimio la Umoja says the same thing. It's like the same thing in
you see, Jeff, Azimio, there is a point that she said, Azimio la Umoja, she has told you that we don't believe, we will not be able to achieve economic reform because the country is not united, that we need cohesion. ODM should be the last person to talk about cohesion.
Okay.
After every elections, they will always ensure this country loses money, goes without work for 3-4. Remember the last elections, from December to end of March, people were not able to actually go to work.
They are
the last people.
I think Alice, unfortunately, is being very simplistic on this matter and trying to make it look like it's an ODM affair. And in any case, I am very surprised at the things Alice is saying. And because the party leader of UDA is Deputy President William Ruto, I want to ask Alice, what does William Ruto stand for? What has he stood for in all his years of public service? What is the one thing that if somebody mentions the name of William Ruto, somebody will tell you? It will probably be corruption, and right now it will probably be wheelbarrow. And therefore, somebody with that kind of record, a record of broken promises, where are the laptops? Where are the stadia? Where are they? The things that he stood up to talk about. What promise has he kept? What has he done for this country? What is the one thing? He's been in public service. Since he left university, he has been in public service. What is that one thing that is his legacy to date? Because now he's telling us about people being jobless. 2013, he didn't know people were jobless. 2014, he didn't know people were jobless. 2015, he didn't know people were jobless. 2016, he didn't know people were jobless. 2017, he didn't know people were jobless. He came back and told us about 1 million jobs a year. Where are those jobs? Jeff, Kenyans might look to you, to this Tanga group like Kenyans are fools because they are cheering there. But Kenyans will ask tough questions. Where are the promises? Where are the kept promises? Secondly, when he had half of government, in 2013 to 2017, for example, what were his appointments? Were they not just surrounding a single community? And therefore, this is the person who is now standing on the stage to give you fresh promises. He has not kept his former promises. I want to tell you about Raila Odinga and Azimio la Umoja. Raila Odinga has a track record. He fought for devolution, and devolution is here. He has been fighting for us to build up devolution and to bring it to 35% through BBI, which Alice and their team opposed. Raila Odinga has stood for gender equality. He has come to Parliament when we were trying to pass the gender bill. He has promoted women in his own party. And Raila Odinga, even when he was in the coalition government together with Kibaki, they started free primary education, the kind of roads they did, electrification, this rural electrification we are talking about a person who has a track record. And now, based on that track record, he is speaking to Kenyans from a place of knowledge. Raila Odinga believes that you cannot grow the economy by a policy that segments only a certain part of that economy. When you're talking about boda boda and mama mboga, you must also talk about teachers, you must talk about civil servants, you must talk about business people, you must talk about how you're going to promote this economy and bring everybody up together. Raila Odinga is speaking about a strong social protection program. He is saying not just a few 70-year-olds will be in a social protection program. He is going to bring everybody above 70 years to earn a stipend of 4,000 a month. He is going to bring every family that is vulnerable to a social safety net of 6,000 shillings a month. He is going to bring 1 million people with disability into from the 46,000 who are earning a stipend currently into a stipend program. He is going to put village elders into the Ngao program so that village elders who are earning nothing currently can earn something. He is going to bring Baba Care, which will ensure universal health coverage for every Kenyan. And when he speaks about this, he is going to bring free education from elementary to university. When Raila Odinga speaks about these things, Kenyans believe him. Why? The promises he has made in the past, he has kept.
Okay, and I know you want to answer that question. I know you
know, Jeff, you know, if somebody listens to Wanga, they will think you are talking about a very, very serious person. From the beginning, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, if you ask the ordinary Kenyan in this country, they will tell you he's the father of violence. He will tell you every time after elections there is conflict because he will either reject the elections, he will ensure that he goes to the streets, and he will ensure that businesses don't run. If you go back to 1982, you will find that the single name that appeared, the political single name that appeared, was also of Raila Odinga. If you go to rallies, you will find that his rallies are ever accompanying violence, you know. And it is unfortunate because even the young people do not want to throw stones. But you see, it is like a culture. And that culture is tolerated. Today, if you ask majority of those people who have rejected to vote for the Honorable Raila Odinga, they will tell you they are scared of him. And now he is coming with a Baba Care, social welfare. This country doesn't need social welfare, Jeff. This country needs to create wealth. And that is what they don't want to hear. 6,000 shillings. We cannot today afford to give Kenyans, the elderly, 70 plus, 2,000 bob. They are waiting for 3-4 months. We have no medicine in our hospitals. We do not have sufficient money to pay for children. And we know in our constitution we have said basic education is actually a right. University students are going home. They are staying home. They are being sent home. What is she talking about? Where are they going to get 6,000 shillings from? Create wealth first. And that's what William Ruto stands for. Go to every ministry he held. She will, you will know that the agriculture ministry made huge steps in terms of even, ensuring fertilizer is available. Policies that he came up with today, if we were implementing them, we would be very far. Go to Ministry of Education. William Ruto was there. Did he not leave a legacy? He first breached the gap of the students that were waiting for over 1 year. And he came up with that, the country was struggling because students were staying 1 year home. He came up quickly with a solution, policy decision. Today, the message he is talking about is resonating better because people are saying, we want money in our pocket. Show us how to create that money. Don't tell us that we wait for 6,000 shillings. Look.
All right.
I would rather...
So Jeff, I was very, very specific. And you listen to the things Alice is saying about what is crippling this. And I just want to point out...
I want you to hold that thought. I want you to hold that thought because I want to take a quick break.
No problem.
You guys... I know you have a lot to say and plenty more.
We will hold the thought.
Smoke.
We are still around.
Like you said.
Because the lies won't fly. The maize scandal in the Ministry of Agriculture. Have we forgotten? You think Kenyans have forgotten the violence she's talking about?
If you want us to talk about that, we'll talk about molasses, we'll talk about Kazi kwa vijana, we will talk about KEMSA today. Their teams, including Junet Mohammed, serving in their top levels.
A big lie.
And I can bring a whole list.
I think the fire extinguisher should come out today.
They ate all the KEMSA money. I'm not sure Wanga was there, but...
when we come back, we'll talk about
Wanga.
You start throwing people's names.
No, Wanga.
And I will come back and say something.
We have the list. We have the list.
It's a break.
We have the list.
In a moment.
And Baba has said nothing.
It's the wild, wild West.
Looking for a place where music meets, a place where energy congregates.